Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First, Nancy Pelosi claimed that she came up with the phrase, drain the swamp, and that President Trump stole it. Nancy's been in D.C. so long, she doesn't drain the swamp, she secretes it. Then, California gubernatorial candidate Katie Porter refused to say whether more videos exist of her yelling at staffers. Rumor has it her campaign slogan is, Katie Porter, making Gordon Ramsay look chill since 2023. Next, actress Keira Knightley said she didn't know about the J.K. Rowling boycott before joining the new Harry Potter audiobooks. She gave the most normal, reasonable response possible, which in Hollywood basically makes her a radical extremist. And finally, The View invited Cheryl Hines on to talk about her new book and spent the segment attacking her husband instead. That's what happens when you mistake a coven for a talk show. And then we go to the comment section on the segment we did about Gavin Newsom talking about California not being a high-tax state. Someone commented and asked about the Proposition 50 ballots showing the no votes through the envelope so that you can see it from the outside. Okay, we're going to take a look at that. Okay, let's dive in. Nancy Pelosi says that she came up with the slogan, drain the swamp, and that President Trump stole it. It's getting pretty deep in here. Grab your boots.
When we won in 2006, our motto, one of our sayings was, drain the swamp. It's time to drain the swamp again. You know, he stole that saying from us when it really wasn't a swamp, but nonetheless, there we are. You wonder why the American people tolerate a grifter like this in the White House, a grifter.
Nancy talking about corruption is like Jeffrey Dahmer giving a cooking class. Pelosi isn't in the swamp. She is the swamp, which means the swamp is 70% Chardonnay and 30% Botox. Katie Porter refused to say whether more videos exist of her exploding at staffers. Apparently, she's running for governor and anger management class president.
Should California voters feel confident that there aren't any more Katie Porter videos out there?
Well, what I know is that I could have done better in those moments.
She's acting like those videos are Marvel post-credit scenes. Oh, don't leave now. There's more yelling coming. The reporter then pressed the issue to try to get an answer.
Can voters be confident that there won't be another one of those videos that's going to come to light?
What I do know is that I could have done better on that situation.
But that's not a no. So is there potentially another video that we're going to see?
Nikki, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that video was several years ago, as you know.
She dodged that question like it was a flying stapler from her last staff meeting. Apparently, Katie Porter's Rage compilation is getting more seasons than The Simpsons. Actress Keira Knightley, who will be playing Professor Umbridge in the new Harry Potter full cast audiobooks, was asked if she was aware that fans are calling for a boycott of the books in response to J.K. Rowling's stance on transgender issues. She responded by saying this.
I was not aware of that, no. I'm very sorry. I think we're all living in a period of time right now where we're all going to have to figure out how to live together, aren't we? And we've all got very different opinions. So I hope that we can all find respect.
Knightley saying we should all respect each other in Hollywood is like saying, let's all bathe at Burning Man. But she handled the woke question like a pro, calm, respectful, and without blaming climate change. Cheryl Hines went on The View to talk about her new book, and the host decided that it was a great opportunity to tell her how much they hated her husband.
The problem, respectfully, is that your husband is the least qualified Department of Health and Human Services head that we've had in history. It has also spread a lot of misinformation, a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, and I think it's just a very dangerous thing. I say it with the utmost respect.
Well, at least Sonny said it respectfully. You're married to the worst person in the universe who's probably worse than Satan himself. But I say it with the utmost respect. Well, at least they stopped ripping on Cheryl because of her husband after that.
I do want to say, he's not a doctor and he's not a professional.
Yes.
And oftentimes when he's speaking, he is speaking not with the best information that we can get.
Whoopi's worried about RFK not having the best information. This is coming from a woman whose biggest accomplishments are playing a woman who impersonated a nun and playing a bartender on Star Trek with no eyebrows. The View invited Cheryl Hines to discuss her book and instead gave her marriage counseling she didn't ask for. It's like going to Jiffy Lube and getting a colonoscopy. And now onto the comments section. So first on the segment we did about Joe Biden trying to take credit for President Trump's ceasefire, which was just insane. We have this comment from Freethinker T8V, the auto pen strikes again. Then we have this one from Brian Schumann. In Biden's defense, he probably thinks he's still the president. Okay, then on to the segment we did about Letitia James, where she gave that speech where she was acting like a preacher. She just was really getting into it. We had this from RD Runner. That one is full of Satan. You guys, when I first saw that clip, I wasn't up loud enough and I wasn't sure if I was hearing that she kept doing the after each sentence, They're trying to come after me, it's not fair. And so I turned it up and I'm like, she is giving that extra after everything. Anyway, I hope people could hear that I tried to do that. It made me laugh at a minimum. Okay, on to the segment we did about Whoopi Goldberg defending Katie Porter for yelling at staff, where Whoopi said, I do it too. This is from Kay Coucher. Everything Whoopi Goldberg knows about yelling at staff, she learned from Ellen DeGeneres. You know what? I should have tried. That would have been a great joke punchline. And everybody knows about Ellen for yelling at people and being mean to her staff. That would have been a great. I wish I would have thought about that. Okay, and then this is the comment we had about the Proposition 50 in California redistricting. So that we're going to look into a little bit more. This is from Steve Hughes. Might be worth touching on in a story, Gavin Newsom Prop 50 redistricting plan. Thousands of voters reporting they received envelopes designed to show if the voter selected no, with a hole in the envelope that perfectly lines up with a no selection on the ballot. The theory that the vote counters would throw away enough no vote envelopes to make sure they win. Okay, so let's look at this. So here is, I'm going to put up a graphic. This is a graphic of what a number of people were posting on X that shows what was happening, at least with a bunch of the ballots. You can see that they've marked no, that is showing through the hole, through the envelope. So people could see that without opening the envelope yet and know that they voted no. So we're going to see what the LA Times says about this. Okay, that, we don't trust them at all. But I think even they admit, okay, yeah, it kind of happened. It's kind of happening. So this is from the LA Times. California ballot design prompts false conspiracy theories that the November election is rigged. Okay, first off, do you like how they worded it? False conspiracy theories. And of course, they want you to think they're talking about the fact that the dot shows through, but they finish it by saying conspiracy theories about the November election being rigged. So, but as you read into it, it sounds like, oh no, that is the ballot, you can see it through. Secretary of State Shirley Weaver refutes viral claims that holes in ballot envelopes allowed election officials to see how Californians voted on Proposition 50. Okay, now that bullet makes it sound like, oh, she refutes these claims, so they're going to say it's false, right? Let's wait and see. The holes are an accessibility feature for sight-impaired voters. Okay, so far they're not Okay. Republican leaders opposing the measure worry false conspiracy theories spreading online could suppress voter turnout against it on November 4th. Okay. So, and by the way, anybody in California, please don't let that deter you from voting against Prop 50. Definitely vote. So here's a snippet. The small holes on ballot envelopes are an accessibility feature to allow sight-impaired voters to orient themselves to where they are required to sign the envelope, Weber said in a statement. Again, that's not saying it's not happening. Weber said voters can insert ballots in return envelopes in a manner that doesn't reveal how they voted, or could cast ballots in person at vote stations, some of which will open soon for early voting. Okay, so it is happening then. It is happening. She basically said, well, they can insert the ballots in the envelopes in a way that won't show the no vote. It's just crazy that somehow this thing started with, that they tried to characterize this as a false conspiracy theory. And when you read the article from the LA Times, they basically are like, yeah, that happens. Anyway, so thank you for bringing that up. And I will say one of the other fact-checking places I checked, which is, of course, run by libs, they were saying it wasn't true. And then their explanation for it was that, okay, you could see the dot through the hole, but you couldn't see the word no next to the dot. So that was their justification for saying it was false and it wasn't true. Those idiots. If you set it up so that the no vote comes through the hole, you don't need to see the word no next to it. Anyway, thank you again for bringing that up. Let's see, that was Steve. Thanks for watching Headlines. I'm Wes Austin. Good night.